Okay, here we go. Welcome to another show, episode 24. Welcome back, Leon from Vegas. That's all we've got to say on the matter. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I'll tell you a little bit about
Nah, man, I don't want to hear it. I'm jealous already. Like, we'll talk about it. You know, we ain't even talked. We haven't talked about Vegas since he's been here. Because I ain't even interested. I'm not over the burn yet. So I'll talk to you about 2 weeks. Just give me time. Man, of course it was good. It was Vegas. Just give me time to get over it. And then we'll have a chat. Then we might bring it up in another show. Alright, so as it been, so what? We're filming on a different time, so we've got 3 people back from 2. I feel like 2 weeks ago we were filming late on a Sunday night, then it was 2 people on normal time, now we're filming on a Friday. I know what's going on. I had like a mini 10-minute power nap when I got back from work, and so I'm feeling a bit funny. Yeah, I'm just feeling a bit too bubbly. Yeah. So this might be a high octane energy show. How you guys been though?
I'm good. Well, I'm strong.
You actually recovering?
I'm aligned. My time zones and everything are just now aligning itself back to normal. So
right, cool.
Just about getting there.
I'm good. This week, I don't want to talk about him, but like today you can't miss it, like Syria and all that stuff. But
do you know what though? I'll be entirely honest. I think just a side note from me is just thoughts out to everybody who's affected. I don't want to go into it because people go into what about race and this, that, and the other. I'm like, just thoughts out to anybody affected by any of the atrocities that go on at the moment. I'm like, you saw the Sweden one that popped up today. You've got the one with the bomb that they filled with shrapnel in it. Like, that's just some feed from 11 and stuff. You had the chemical one. You've got all about, you had the Syria airstrike, you've got all the deaths that go on at all of the war zones which are going on, right? Like, I'm indifferent of race and nation and the rest of it. Like, it's just one of them times where, more often than not, bad news sells more than anything else, but it seems to be just worse than ever at the moment. So I just wanted to take a brief moment out for that.
A moment of silence.
But yeah, you were going to talk about Trump.
oh yeah, Trump did what he said. He changed his mind. He told Obama in 2013 to go into Syria, and in 2015 he changed the line. He just went straight. He just changed his mind like that, and then he just sent tomahawks, like 50 tomahawk missiles straight into Syria. Bang, bang, bang. Russia saying it's against international law. We'll see where it goes. Anyways, I'm trying to be positive. Apparently,
so why'd you bring up mixed negative to the world?
Apparently the pound will go up by the end of the year.
Yeah.
the new £1 got released as well. And
have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, and they're saying that the Tesco machines can't use it. So
no way.
Trolleys and stuff.
When are you killing Tesco's for? Like, obviously the other supermarkets have got the same problem. They just victimise one chain.
I read it in the paper, and Tesco was the supermarket that came.
Which paper are you reading? In the Metro?
Nah.
Yeah, even the Standard. Metro got something against Tesco, right?
I don't read the Metro.
Yeah, he does.
No.
He's about to tell me he's got something against the Metro.
No, I read it in a worse paper. I read it in the Daily Mail. And I read Daily Mail for one thing, sport. But sometimes their front page has a little some things.
And any of the other pages?
The crap. Their Daily Mail, I always think to myself, if you read Daily Mail every day, and I'm not destroying Daily Mail, you must think that the sky's going to fall on your head. It's that thing where every day you've got something to be scared of.
All of them. Yeah, all of them. Bad news sells.
Yeah. So, but the sports pages are really good. They're very, very insightful.
Do you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. This week I've been kind of diversifying my listening for podcasts. So I've gone out there hunting out different ones. I told you guys about the James Altus show. I really like that. Like, he's just quirky in himself, but then I don't know. Every time he's questioning somebody, he's just like an excited little kid. So he always gets in someone super smart, and he's always excited about it. I did one.
Well, if you listen to a few.
Listen to a few of his, and I listened to a few more of Tim Ferriss's. Like, do you know what I like about him is, so when I listen to stuff like the Brilliant Idiots and stuff, and like the Joe Rogan Experience when we were talking about, they get really deep and conversational and topical about certain things. But so much to a point where they're just natural. They're just talking like as a conversation, right? But I just feel like some of the other ones really aim to give you back something.
Okay.
So like on one of them, he was talking about, I can't remember, Cheryl Stray's. Like, she wrote a couple of books. She wrote a couple of books. Basically, when she was younger, she got married super early. She came out of it, like, she had all of these life experiences. She read these books. There's one film made at that went to Hollywood after, so they had her on there kind of talking about getting into your creativity, how to become a writer and things like that. There was one which he done with Tim Robbins, which I was telling you guys about, it had this super funny moment because you know how excited Tim Robbins is, like banging himself like that, like always banging the tables and stuff. And then the guy comes in super sheepish, like the sound guy, and he's like, I'm really, really sorry, but when you're doing that, like it really distorts the sound. And I can just imagine this is probably just like this little guy, probably like kind of 5'9", 10 or something, talking to Tony Robbins, who's like a 20-foot giant, like will slap you with one of his hands like as a bloody tennis racket.
That must have been hard for him to come in and say that.
But the thing is, he done it halfway through the show. I felt for him. I was like, my man's just stepped up there.
Had he been banging it like a few times?
Well, he does that just when he gets excited. The thing is, when I listened to him, it was difficult because I didn't really hear him doing it because I'm so used to him doing it. But then he was obviously, but as the sound editor, he's probably having to constantly up and down the sound. So it was just funny how he stepped in.
I can't let this continue anymore. I have to say something.
Tim Robbins, he's a force of nature, isn't he?
Yeah.
You think to those like him and E.T. Imagine them in the room and shouting at each other. That's crazy.
No, but he's just so the thing is about E.T. is E.T. inspires people by what he's done. Whereas the funny thing about Tony Robbins, right, is that he inspires people, he motivates people in what he talks, but I feel that so many times he doesn't go into the details of his backstory. And actually, when you just look at his backstory, that in itself is motivational. Like how he was brought up, how his mum was like an alcoholic and a drug addict, had to look after himself from like 10, 11 years old. Went out, I think, what was it? The first time he went out to give like one family, one like done by family or homeless person a Christmas dinner, and he's changed that into that whole company he gets. Like even the book that he's just released now, he's like, whatever books I sell, I will double it. So last time we made 50 million off the books, I will put 50 million my own money in there, which, let's be clear, puts off. I mean, the guy is just he doesn't. I don't even think he goes into the details of how much my man is worth, but he is worth a mad amount. Like his story in himself, forget how much energy he brings, which comes from somewhere in a different universe, right? I think just the story and what he gives.
Because one of the things you get from him is that he genuinely cares about what he's talking about. He genuinely cares. He genuinely he said his the reason why he's here is to help others. And it's literally, you know, some people say that, it sounds so cliche, I'm here for you. But him, you can tell that what he's doing is literally from his heart.
But I think that's essential about actual. So that's the difference between motivational speakers and just nonsense talkers, right? Is that they bring their energy, but they're not just bringing their energy for fun. He's bringing his energy because he's passionate about it, and then that just comes across. And even how he keeps people dynamically involved. So when he's asking the questions like, "How many people feel like this?" Say "I." Put your hand up. Like keeps everybody involved in the room.
You got that down to a T.
His voice just naturally booms, like natural projection in itself. Like I'm a big fan.
We were saying like last week on the Q&A that you practice in the mirror. He does that till this very day. You're showing it on his Netflix special that he practices for hours, like by himself, looking in the mirror, projecting his voice, and I'm like, man, this guy. He's an expert. He keeps on going, keeps on perfecting.
But that's his craft, right? And this is what everybody has to understand about your craft is that you just always. It's never perfect. You just need to keep perfecting it, keep working at it. So even him, naturally, he's just a speaker. He can get up and go to anything, but he cares about every talk that he does because he cares about how he gives back.
And he was saying that he does a ritual every morning. It's a certain thing that he does every morning without fail.
He's a very spiritual guy.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. So he's following that. So.
I think it's all on one of the topics that I heard on the podcast. So I think it might have been the Cheryl Stray's one, or it might have been another one where they were talking about. No, I think it was had two guys on that, but they were basically talking about a sense of immersion in what you're doing and flow, and they actually told me they worked out how to say the guy's name or who does flow. It's the first time I've ever heard somebody say it properly. Six sent me, or I've forgotten how to pronounce it now. It's nothing like I was pronouncing it anyway. So anyway, there's the whole concept of flow, and the concept being is you can fall into that place where you're naturally just immersed in what you're doing. You know, when you're working and you lose track of time, you lose track of everything that's going on. So they've done studies into one, how you try to get into flow, and then two, what you get done out of it. So they did studies with people, and a lot of it was self-feedback, but they done it based on certain measures that they put in. There were like a lot of people who go into work, they were like, when I fall into flow, I'm 5 times more effective than I am at any other point. So imagine, and what they were saying is, so imagine you go into the office on a Monday, get yourself into a state of flow for the whole day. You can do more. You could work Monday and take the rest of the week off, right? Because you've done all of it. Imagine you go and do that for the whole week. How much you beat your competition because you immerse yourself. Like,
so are they saying that you could literally put yourself in a state of flow, or is it something that has to happen naturally?
I've done it before at work. I've done it before at work where I'm so immersed in my work that everything around me, I'm oblivious to, because I'm so immersed in it. People, it's happened to me. It was quite embarrassing that my whole team got up, went to a team meeting, and I was still sitting there, and I didn't have headphones in. I was just so immersed in what I was doing. Everything else was shut out. I was just locked in, and I've had times like that when I'm fully concentrated, I'm locked into something, and time just goes fast, and people around me, all the noise and people, I can't hear it because I'm locked into what I'm doing.
Is that because you know that you've got a lot of work to do?
No, it's probably because I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah, okay.
And like, as an accountant, it's very hard to say that accountancy can be interesting, but there's sometimes when you're doing work,
somebody's got that.
Yeah, there's some work when you do something and you're trying to problem solve, and accountants are problem solvers, so a lot of times when you're trying to problem solve something and you're locked in and you're using Excel, you're using all those, it can get interesting, and that's when it's like really, it's not it's exciting looking at numbers. You know, you're trying to get an end goal and you're locked in, and because you're trying to reach that conclusion, you lock everything out.
So you sort of challenge yourself.
It's
like a game.
But I think the thing about it is it's one of those things you don't naturally fall into it. Some people, I don't think, pay attention to when they fall into it, so they don't try to position themselves in it. Like me, I can tell you that I can fall into a state of flow there have been times when I've been working on the website, when I'm writing, it can happen to me a lot. Yeah. Sometimes writing one article is really tough. Sometimes I'll just bat 5 off. They'll just come like nothing. I'll tell you, for me, I sit down, I lock out the world, TV, everything goes off. I close down everything else that I've got going on. Phone is there simply because I use it as my music. I plug in, me personally, I put Hans Zimmer on, like something. It's not even silence for me. I put Hans Zimmer on, like it's not music which has got any vocals in it. It's soundtracks. I listen to the Superman soundtrack, the Interstellar soundtrack, the Dark Knight soundtrack, and the Inception soundtrack. Like that track time, just lose all concept of it when I'm listening to that. And for me, then I can just strike in. Before I know it, those times where I've been messaging you guys in the morning, it's like 2 o'clock, I might have started at like 9, and I'm like, damn, like time's just gone, I might need to go to sleep now. But I've lost all of that time because I'm completely immersed in it. And whenever I'm trying to do something where I need to work, I will try to immerse myself in it. It's the difficulty when you're working in an office or something, that it can be difficult because it's difficult to block everybody out. So I can put my headphones on and the rest of it, and I can deeply immerse myself when I'm in the office, but all it takes is someone to tackle you, knock you out of it. And it's like I would refer to it as if, imagine like you're in Star Trek and they're going to warp speed and they're in their tunnel where they're in warp speed and the stars are flying by and nothing else can hit them and get in there because they are in that tunnel vision. I would refer to it like that, but all it takes is someone to knock you out of that tunnel and all of a sudden you lose it and you need to get back into it.
So could you also say that flow, you can extrapolate that and make it, take it from like, sometimes when you talk about flow, you talk about like and into the star concept, the engineer concept, like so these examples. Once you're working in an environment where you feel passionate or you're actually good at it, it's easier to immerse yourself in the flow.
But that was going to be what I said.
Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, or if you're not working work together with your skill set or what you're passionate about, then it's harder to get into the flow.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, because that's what you mentioned earlier about it's interesting, accountancy and everything, and you was talking, I know you're passionate about writing and stuff. So that was, I was wondering, do you need to be passionate about something that you're doing in order for you to then, immerse yourself in
I think it's difficult, but I think it becomes harder, but I don't think it's impossible to do. Because part of it is a sense of that focus. So when you talked about problem solving, or you talked about it because you had a challenge, I think part of it is you are so deeply focused on something that you just go into, you've created that end goal, so you don't, it's easier if you're passionate about it, because I think you
Yeah.
can do it more often.
Yeah,
so I can
yeah,
sit down and write at certain points in time and be like, yeah, I can go into this. But then there are times it's real hard for me as well. Sometimes there are certain things, even when you're passionate about it, there are certain times when it's harder to make yourself do it, and sometimes it becomes effortless. And that's when I feel like it's easiest to fall into flow, because it's effortless and you go through it. So I don't think you need to be fully passionate about it. Then you just need to focus. But it's about everybody understanding how they get. They talked about various ways that you fall in to the state of flow. But I think for everybody it's slightly different. So for instance, I was listening to one of the podcasts where Cheryl Strays was talking about writing, and she's like, you need silence. And I'm like, I would counter that, because my mind works better when I've got music. But like I say, it's a hands in. It has to be orchestral music, which has a steady kind of flow to it that lets me fall in. For some people, but there have been times where I put like, there was one, I think it was Drake's album Take Care. I can't even tell you why it was that. It's got a lot of slow tracks on it, not hard upbeat ones, and my mind could just fall into that. But can I listen to hip hop and let that happen? Not really. I listen to hip hop when I'm doing something like editing pictures and stuff, because it's not so concentrating that I need to let my mind be creative. I think it's because the words coming in half can interrupt what's going on with you.
Yeah, because I've done it before when I'm doing the band because this is hip hop, and I start writing the lyrics down instead of writing the answer. Instead of writing down the answer, I'm just like writing the lyric, and I'm okay, cool, I can't listen to that. But I do that in the gym. If I want to do squats and do legs, I don't listen to hip hop. I listen to dance music. I listen to slow dance. The reason why, because, and I see your eyes, I listen to slow dance. The reason why, because it helps with my breathing. Because it's slow and it's so much helps my breathing, and I can just lock in. And I'm not listening. The music doesn't really matter. It's actually, it just helps the breathing when I'm coming up and down. I'm not rushing. If hip hop with a high beat, I might rush to the squats and go up and down really quickly because I want to catch up, keep my rhythm, keep the rhythm.
I know what you mean.
When I have a slow jam, it slows me right down, and even everything. It's slow music. It just lets me push harder because of my breathing is better. Because a lot of times, a lot of people what they do forget to do is they forget to breathe. So it depends.
When I'm on the treadmill, it's just all about fast, and that's when you're trying to pump.
See, I can find flow when I'm running. Because it sounds weird, because there is something that makes you think that you need to be doing something creative to fall into flow, whereas you don't. You can get athletes who can do exactly the same thing. When I'm running, I can fall into a state of flow so easy. There are some days where I will go out and there's one time where I went out running to clear my head. I'd been writing and working for hours, and I was out and clear my head. I came back 21 kilometers later. I couldn't even tell you where I'd ran for half of that. I could not even redo that route for you.
You heard a story about Ayrton Senna at Monaco, when he's going around Monaco and he's getting faster and faster and faster, and then he locks back in. He's just in the rhythm. He's in his flow. He's literally locked in, and his lap times are getting faster and faster. Because driving, if anyone that's done go-karting knows that it's rhythm. It's not about being aggressive. It's all about being smooth and having the rhythm. And if you lock in, and something like that, he was doing Monaco, he was getting faster and faster and faster, and he got the tunnel, and then he snapped out of it, and he was like, how fast I'm going, and then it was like, wow, it's when you know you're locked in. You do it when you're driving. A lot of times you're driving there, and you wonder how you got there.
No, I think that's different, because that's not even, so I would refer to flow as, if I was going to put an easier way to obviously we've explained it now, but I would say it's being in the zone. When you're driving, that's because it's I think you switch off and you let your mind think on different things. I don't think that's not being in a state of flow. State of flow for me has to be in focus of something. So when you're a driver, that happens, and again, because they do it habitually, they can fall into that. But I guarantee you probably get the same thing with footballers when you'll get some of them who just, say, like David Beckham, I imagine, practicing free kicks. Starts 4 hours later, he's still practicing free kicks. Like, well, what happened there? It's that continual master of like Tony Robbins would be an example. You can guarantee when he starts talking in the room, he probably knows all of his speeches, but when he falls into that natural state of flow, that will be when he delivers that absolute best performance.
100%.
So how would you advise people to get into that? How people start learning how to get into their sense of flow?
I think for me personally, I would say take some time to be reflective, or look back on when are your best days, because the guys kind of went through it on the show, and I was like, I don't think it's a one size fits all for everybody. I think you need to go back and look at the times where you were super effective, and then work out what it was about that time. So for instance, some positions, is it the times where you were by yourself in a room in absolute silence and you were doing something like a writing would be one thing, or you were working on numbers, whatever it was, I would say think back to the times that you've been super effective and then try to understand what that environment was and recreate that environment. And I think sometimes that's a difficult thing to do. That's why when people are at work, again, some people will be like, when it comes to, often I get my best work done. When I work at home, right, by 12 o'clock I can stop. I've done more than I'm going to do in 2 days because I can just shut off. The world is shut off. I can put my music on, I can type in, I know what I need to get done, I focus, I drill through it. You stick me in an office, becomes infinitely more difficult to get into that. Like,
would you think though, you know, somebody's mental state or their mood, that would have some sort of an effect, you know?
People also like the time of day when they're working, because some people work better in the morning, some people work better at night.
And you like working better at night, right?
I'm a mix in the middle. I'm like the worst of both worlds or the best of both worlds. I'm a really good morning person, and then I'm creative at night. And then that bit in the middle, in the afternoon, is where I need to... But if I slip into the slipstream, then I can work whenever. I think it's in the afternoon becomes a bit more... It just becomes... That's when it's a bit of, not effort to work, but you have to push it a bit more. But again, it also comes down to what I'm working on as well.
What do you like, work-wise?
I'm better in the morning. I've always been... If I want to get a lot of things done, I want to get it done first thing when my mind's fresh. At night time, in the evening, I want to do stuff that's just process driven, where I know what I'm doing and I just get churning it out. I don't want to have stuff when I'm sitting down and not having to think and be creative, because I'm tired and my brain's probably it's going to hit a brick wall. So I always, like, anything that's complicated when I'm doing any numbers work, I always say, well, I'm stopping now and I'll come in the morning and I'll look at it. When I'm in the morning, I'll be fresh. I can spot things. So it's just how my brain works. I've always been that way. Even when I'm doing revision, I'd rather do it in the mornings than at night time, because in the night time I'm tired. I don't want to do it. Then I find it also depends on the day as well. Because like on Mondays are easy for me to get to my flow. I don't know why. I come in, I'm fresh. Coming from the weekend, I'm fresh and I'm bang, I'm on it. Getting me to go on a Thursday afternoon, I don't really want to be there.
So like Monday, you look forward to Mondays?
I look forward to Mondays. I always have. I'm weird. I always look forward to the beginning of the week. I don't really. Because for me, it's just like I'm fresh, and it's like there's no pressure on the day. Whatever you can't do on Monday, you can do on Tuesday.
It's a good way to look at it.
But then but the thing like Fridays is that I want to get everything done by Friday, so when I come on Monday, I don't carry over the week. Monday should be fresh for me. So I always had that mindset that Monday is, I can get a lot done, but if I don't get it done, I can carry on to Tuesday. But on Fridays, if I don't get it done, then that's why sometimes I stay late on Friday, because I want to get things done. So when I come on Monday, I can start something fresh. I hate to carry things over in 2 weeks.
So interesting, because there's one track that I download. So I've started listening to Gary V's Daily Selects. So he's got Daily V Selects on SoundCloud. So you can listen to all the tracks that he plays in the background. One of them's like Monday, and it's like, hello Monday morning, time to make you my bitch. So the reason I say that is because you touched on Monday there, right? And I'm like, so many people avoid Monday because it's that new work. Now, whatever you're doing, I think you need to embrace a Monday, go at it with energy. Because that is, for me, you've had a bit of time to, I've had time to recuperate more on the weekends than I do during the week. Even if I have a bad sleep on Sunday, like, I still have more sleep than I had the rest of the week. I wake up super energized, super focused on a Monday. But there was one of the parts in there where it gets to the end, and there was a woman who talked about it on one of the podcasts I listened to this week, and she was just talking about taking it's kind of a somber topic to talk about when it comes to mortality, but the bottom line is, right, for everything that we have going on, we get on, we have shared interests, right? There's one undeniable thing that we all share, right? We're all gonna die one day. Simple as that, right? And it sounds blunt when you put it like that. Well, even me, I'll be. I haven't proven that I'm a machine. I believe it, but still. And the thing is, we look at it as if it's kind of a somber thing to talk about, but some of the most successful people, I think, use that sense of mortality on a daily basis. So like Gary Vee talks about it, he's weird. Like, he does say he's weird as well, but he's like, I think that my family are going to die. But a lot of people wake up and every day they remind themselves of the fact that they could die at any given moment in time, and because of that, they need to make the most of what they're doing. And I know it sounds it almost comes across as kind of trivial when you say it because people hear it all the time. But I think sometimes you need to step back and reflect and really take it seriously, right? Really think about how many people just might walk out in a road one day and get hit by a car. How many people will just come down with an illness that they did not expect and 7 weeks later are gone. Like, and nobody thinks about it because you just think that's going to happen to somebody else. So every day you're waking up just going, well, don't worry, I'll change this further down the line. Yes, I believe in patience. I believe in the long game, right? Don't supercharge it faster than it's supposed to happen. But don't put stuff off for forever, thinking that you're going to live forever. You're not. So there are two things that are going to happen. Assuming you live a long life, you're going to get old and you're going to die. And you don't want to be old and you don't want to be on your deathbed and look back and have those regrets, right? And I think it's super essential to remind yourself on a daily basis, like, one, have that full gratitude for the day that you have in front of you, right? And two, use the positive sense of mortality to say, not wake up in the morning and say, oh, I could die today. Wake up in the morning and say, exactly like Steve Jobs used to say, if today was the last day I was going to live, would I enjoy what I'm about to do today? And take the positive sense of it. I don't want this to come across as somber.
But a lot of people say, no, I don't enjoy what I'm doing today. that's the thing.
No, but that's cool. And I've said before, so when we used to go through the start, it used to be very much like, they just changed. And I'm not saying just change. What I'm saying is make an effort to make the change, not I'm going to do this at some point later on in time. If you're saying, yeah, it's the middle of the week and I'll put it off to the weekend, okay, semi-allow that. But don't put it off until the middle of the year or next year or the year after. Because there's nothing guaranteed that you're going to get those. And I think when you can use the positive sense of it, that will help. So when it comes to, when we say, yeah, just do it, just get on with it, just be motivated, right? And everybody's like, well, how do you be like that? There are certain tools that you can implement in your arsenal that allow you to just be more focused, more motivated, more upbeat. Being grateful for every day that you wake up, for everything that you have around you, for your family, for your friends, for your support network, for your job, for the roof over your head. All of those things, right, will drive you. Knowing that you could die knowing that you could die one day, knowing you will die one day, use the positive effects of that to drive you. So when we say just do it, just go for it, I'm not saying just change. I'm saying look for the things that you can use in your arsenal to drive you. And I think using the positive sense of mortality is one of those things that we all have the ability to do.
I think with most people, it's just like, it's a given. Tomorrow is a given. That's the way people live their lives. I had this same conversation with a friend when we was in Vegas. But no, we was having a good time, and it was just that thing, you know what, look, we need to enjoy life, you need to be grateful, because not everybody can get to a place like this. Not everybody can experience. As I said, I was not just one of my best friends got married, and it was just a really emotional time to think, you know what, I'm here in Vegas watching this guy that I've known for like 9 years old, whereas some people may not even make it to my age to even experience these type of things. Do you know what I mean? And I also was watching, there was a documentary about Ian Wright and Rocastle, and I watched that, and I'm not even an Arsenal fan, but that proper gripped me. And then obviously he died, leaving behind a wife and 3 children. And it was a conversation, and it's like, it's weird when you think to yourself that somebody you know in your lifetime, they're going to get cancer. It's just going to happen. Yeah. And it's just thinking, you know what, you need to enjoy and be grateful about the friends you have around you, the family you have around you, because you never know what's going to happen.
It's hard because it's a balance. Talking from my own experience, I lost my brother at 33, very young age. But then it's also that's pushed me to. It's given me that sense of mortality, but it's also kind of made me think, oh, I'm not doing enough. And that sometimes can make you feel a bit down. Because you have that sense of mortality that you're going to die, but then you also have that urgency that that you feel like you're not doing enough, and then that also can make you feel a little bit depressed because even though you are trying to get to where you want to get to, that sense of mortality is also thinking, shit, if I die tomorrow, what have I achieved? And sometimes when I talk like that, other people get really down because they think like you're being too morbid, but it's that I've seen someone lose their life at such a young age, and I realised that my mortality is not there. When I hit 30, I realised I'm not going to live forever, because it was just like, it wasn't not. I knew it when I was younger, but the reality of I've seen people die at this age. I've seen people die at around 29, 30 stuff. So I try to be like what Ben says. It's having that balance and having that. I do try to have the balance and say, well, I am going to live a long life because I will try to live a long life, and it's more likely that I'm going to live a long life. So, but yeah, I could die tomorrow.
Maybe you should just bring it back a little bit and just be like, have that gratitude to think, just don't be down on yourself thinking, oh, I should have achieved more when I'm here. Like, look around you to think about, look, this is what I have achieved. You drive a nice car. There's loads of people that would love to drive the car that you drive. You know what I mean? And it's looking at things that you have achieved rather than things that you haven't. That's the way I think that's the way I've started to look at my life.
It's the balance. I try that balance. It's more of I try to have the balance of I've achieved.
You've got a good job as well.
I've achieved.
Intelligent.
Yeah, but no, it's that balance.
Looking.
But then if you want, thanks. But it doesn't work that way because in my head it's who I'm competing against.
Okay,
I'm not competing against people around me or people that I've grown up with. I see. In my head, I know that I have one life to live. I'm not very religious, so I think this is my one chance of life, and I need to take the most of it. A lot of people don't realise that. They think that there's going to be another life. So they think, oh, this life might not be so great, so the next life will be better. In my head, I know I have to make the most of this life. Whatever happens, this is my one chance of whatever I want to do. So that plays in my mind as well. So it's not that I'm not grateful. I am grateful. Before I struggled with that. I used to be like, I graduated. I don't care. Next, what's next? I wouldn't do. And I wasn't so appreciative of my achievements. But I also look around and say I'm not competing with who people think they're competing with. I'm trying to get to where this person got to. I'm not saying that if I don't get there, I'm not gonna have a successful life because that's not what I judge success by. It's just that I want to make the most of my life and I want to achieve the most I can.
I think it's good to have a kind of milesticks to look out to other people you're competing against, but I think ultimately you need to remember it's you versus you, right? So if every day you are getting better bit by bit, and I'm not talking about today you have no money in the bank and tomorrow you're going to have £10,000. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's you versus you in the sense of every day be better. Yeah, have a milestick as the person you're saying, well, if I get better by every day, then I might get that. But I think there's another one that you need to flip into the mix. I think that people need to have an air of not an air of optimism. You need to have a heightened sense of optimism, and I think people don't have that enough. So when you're talking about, I wouldn't even say that gratitude would count what yours is. When you go into that state of maybe feeling a bit down or I haven't achieved enough, it's not even that. It's like, you know what? Forget that. I'm achieved so much more. But again, it's one of those things. It's difficult. It's a daily practice you have to have. Having these things, and when we've spoken about it before, and I just want to drill into a bit deeper down because it is a habitual thing. You do need to try at it. It's not one of those things where I can tell you be optimistic and you can wake up tomorrow and just be optimistic, right? You need to wake up tomorrow and practice being optimistic, and then the next day practice being optimistic until it becomes a habit. It's no good me just saying be optimistic, be grateful, treat mortality as a thing,
isn't it?
But that's why I even put it on Facebook about I think it was last weekend when I said the audacity of optimism. That a lot of times, even though I do say that it gets me down, I always try and be optimistic because that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. If I was optimistic, I wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. I always think there's I'm working towards something, so something's not something to click because I don't like that. That's like luck. But I'm working towards something and I'm going to achieve it. That optimism gets me out of the bed in the morning.
It's funny you say that though. It's completely off tangent. I'm just going to go on the click of what you just said there. Never overlook. So we've spoken about it before, and put yourself in a position for Lady Luck to shine down on you. And I will never overlook the importance of it. There's nothing that has existed in history where everybody has made it all the way to their success or all the way through their life or through all of their experiences without luck playing a part at some point. And sometimes it's bad luck to put you in a bad position, sometimes it's good luck. But when you say click, sometimes it is just that. You can work hard for 10 years and then you just walk it, you go and say, I'm going to give myself a break and I'm going to go and network with somebody, and you meet somebody who was not even supposed to be there. They were supposed to be on a flight from London to New York and it got cancelled and they needed to find something to do with their evening, and you end up speaking to them and they happen to be a massive book publisher. They like your idea, you set up a meeting with them, they sell your book, it blows up, you sell 5 million copies, your life changes forever. So it is a source of, again, all of these things, and again, I just want to drill into it because I know when you've spoken before and you're like, I want people to like you because you just say like this, that, and the other, and they're like, what, he's backing it up. And I don't care, I'm indifferent. I like to think I'm not that difficult to like, right? But the science behind it is when I'm saying when I'm saying all of these things like, you need to be optimistic, you need to have a positive mental mindset. That isn't wake up in the morning, it's going to change tomorrow. That's wake up in the morning and actively focus on it. And I'm talking about focus on it every day till actually you turn around and someone says to you, you're really positive lately. And you're like, you know what, I wasn't even putting any effort in. That's when you know you've cracked it. When all of the things that you are trying to implement, what you were putting effort in on before, have just become part of your routine, have become part of you.
I'd say, put on to that your optimism should have a foundation based on your why. Because if you don't do that, when you're trying to be happy, when someone knocks you back, that's when you don't have a strong foundation. That's when you fall. So you have if your foundation of your optimism is based on your why you're doing it, then that strengthens your optimism. So really, I've seen people with fake happiness all the time. Yeah. I'm happy, and then one knockback, they're crying miserable because they didn't focus on.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say happiness and optimism are the same thing. Optimism is your outlook on the things that are in front of you. So there was one, I was watching a Daily Vee before, and it was actually one of the guys, I can't remember what it was, one of the guys who worked for him, and he was like, you're just like optimistic, aren't you? He's like, I have realistic optimism. So he's not trying to be optimistic like, yeah, I'm going to make £1 million tomorrow. He's not saying that. He's got realistic optimism, setting realistic goals, yet falls back on his why, and he approaches that in an optimistic sense. Now, when you ask somebody if they're happy and they kind of go over the gaps, that means they've got some underlying issues in the background, and that's when you should probably step in and help them. But that's not optimism. They're just trying to put on a positive front, right? Whereas optimism to me is the glass full, is the glass half full, is the glass half empty. Yeah. That's optimism head on. Everything is right. Not looking at how I'm going to fail, but how I'm going to succeed.
Do you think that's a personality trait though? Do you think that, for example, that you will meet certain people and you'll be like, oh, that person's just always negative, and then they can change their perception on outlook on life and be more optimistic? Do you think that's positive?
It's self-awareness, reflectiveness and effort. So if you are negative and I say to you you are negative, first off, you need to be receptive to take that in. And I need to feed back, much like we spoke about last week, I need to feed that back to you in a manner that you can take on. Yeah. So if you can take it harshly, I'll be like, you need to fix up, man, you are being negative. Or it might need to take it to you more softly than that, because you need, even if it's not even that you're soft, I need to do it in a certain manner that it's actually going to hit home to you. But then you need to take that on. And then you need to be reflective, and then you need to be continually self-aware of that fact, and then you need, again, it's one of those, you need to build into it. When I'm falling into a negative mindset, click, I know that it's happening, right, I need to shake myself out of it until it becomes a habit and a routine. I would say it's not an ingrained personality trait. I would say it's a personality trait you can change. I think it's one of those that's probably quite difficult if you are naturally negative. I don't think anybody comes into the world naturally negative. There's something that caused them to get there. So I think there's a lot of teasing into the issues behind it.
The example I wanted to, not saying that this person was negative, but I had a client today and look, you've got 2 ways that it could go. And I'm telling them, look, be positive. This can happen, this can happen, this can happen. But their natural, like, default state is, no, it's not going to happen. This is going to happen. And I see that with a lot of people, that when you speak to them, their default is not to be positive.
Do you know why? I had on a different podcast, not this our podcast, a different podcast, that one topic was cynicism. And the reason why people are cynical is not because they know more than you, or it's because they've been let down in the past.
Okay.
So they use that cynicism as a protection to protect themselves from
getting hurt again.
And I think it's that sometimes you've lost so many times in the past, it's difficult for you to see a win. And that is when it's difficult to be optimistic. Right? It takes a certain kind of individual to be optimistic in the face of failure. That's why it's not easy to fail. Because some people, and you have to create environments where people are open to fail, because they just can't see themselves winning, they can't understand the idea of winning, so they can't get their heads around it. As soon as they see any 2 options, I used to believe, you'll find that probably at the start, they used to be super positive and optimistic, but they have lost so many times that they just can't get themselves into an optimistic or positive state anymore.
They beat them down, and then all they do is use the negativity to protect themselves. It's a shield. When you think negative things happens, when something positive happens, you're like, it's a double bonus. But if you think something positive happens and something negative happens, it can hurt. So a lot of people use that cynicism, that negative way of thinking to protect themselves. So the way you treat those people is more like with care. You don't like say be positive. You kind of like understand where they're coming from.
Now you have to build it into. It's one of those. So and it's come up in. I can't remember when I was listening to the podcast, but it came up in prompts in life that will change your outlook on life. So often it's at your point of the worst failure And if you get through that failure, that can change your outlook on life. Do you know what? I made it through that. Nothing can beat me now because I made it through.
And that's a positive in
right?
itself, isn't it?
Well, you have to take the positive out of any situation.
Yeah.
So this is your classic fall over four times, stand up five. Like, but there are, when you look back on certain people's successes and anything in life, there was something that prompted them at a point in time. And it's very rarely something that was super happy that prompted them. It would have been something that had them at the low of the low and made them reflect. So a lot of people, for instance, when I was listening to one of the speakers, she lost her mum when she was really young. And that is why she reminds herself every day of the sense of mortality that she may die. Changed her outlook on life. Some people lose everything. They go bankrupt, they lose all of their money, they start from the bottom. And they're like, I am here, I can go no lower than this. Do you know what? I'm never going to be here again. And they have the drive to get out of it. And they are relentless. And they become more powerful than a person who has 100 grand in the bank. They have nothing in the bank, but they have sheer will and drive to know, I know what the bottom's like. I will never be here again. That's how Eric Thomas kind of drives himself, right?
Is that a sort of nothing to lose sort of mentality?
When you've got nothing to lose, anything becomes possible, right? Most of the time, we hold ourselves back and restrict ourselves because we're afraid of everything we can lose. That's why when we're talking before, and you're talking about people in families and stuff, and you've got something that can go on and affect them, one, you need them to be super supportive, but two, your decision becomes harder because you're like, there are people that I can lose stuff, they can lose stuff.
And you're thinking about more what you can lose rather than what you can actually gain. In that situation, because like I said, I've been there, and now thinking back to how my thought process is, okay, I can lose this, or this can go wrong, or this can go wrong, rather than thinking about, you know, if I do this, this can go right, and this can go right, and I can gain this, and I can gain this. So
it's a mindset.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's challenging. You have to. They're all work and practice support. It's one of those things where. This woman was actually talking, so she's got 2 kids, and she's got one little boy who was he had to fill in, he was going to like start school, and he had to fill in like an interview thing, you know, it's like when they have private schools, and he's like, explains to one of the times where you've overcome challenges, and he's like, Mum, I've never had any challenges in my life, and she was like, and it was an interesting take on it, right, because you want to when you're bringing up kids in the world, so everybody has different, you want to look after your kids, but it's a bit, again, it takes back to Gary Vee when he's like, I don't understand those kids parents who play basketball with their kids, and then let them score. He's like, no, you need to back them out and teach them that they need to overcome challenges in life. But at the same time, you want to protect your children, right? Just like you want to protect your friends, just like you want to protect yourself. But you need to accept the fact that the person who's never willing to take a risk will never reach their full potential. They might live a happy life, but I don't think they will reach their full potential and what they can give back. They're two different things. I think you can live a happy life, but everybody, I believe, inherently has something to give back to the world. There's a difference between happiness and realising what that potential is. And sometimes that difference is, more times than not, that difference is the hard time that you face that changes your outlook on everything.
See, people do all the time. People do that thing when they put themselves in, that's what people do when they fast. They put themselves in hardships. It allows them to say, I can fast, and I can do this. If I can go through pain, I can do this. It's that remembrance. That's what I think fasting does as well. A lot of times with meditation and fasting, it gives you that sense that, I'm going through suffering and I can do the suffering. So if I can overcome this, I can overcome anything. It's that mindset. It's building into your mindset. I'm not saying everyone go out and fast because I can't fast. I'll pass out.
But you're saying you can't fast. You can fast, but your mindset.
Yeah, but I think that's a sense of discipline when it comes to fasting.
If I fasted, I'll pass out.
Yeah, but I think
have you fasted before?
No, I'm a unit. Sorry, I'm a unit, and if I fast, I'll pass out. I will.
But you don't know.
No, but right. So, but then there's a different scenario. You are in, heaven forbid this ever happens, you are in a plane accident and you go down in the middle of the jungle, and fasting doesn't become an option. You don't have any choice. You have to go days and days and days to get to the next. And do you know what happened? But all jokes aside, you would make it through because you had to make it through, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you kill an alligator and you make it through, but you would still be going hungry. But you will come out of that and you would be like, nothing can beat me now because I've made it through that. And what I mean by that is, it's not, fasting doesn't become a choice anymore. Fasting for a choice is a sense of discipline that you're trying to instill in yourself. Fasting, when it doesn't become an option, tells you what you are capable of. You say you can't fast. If I take all of your food away because you go into a scenario where you have to, then you realise what you are capable of. And this is what I mean. Sometimes people do not realise how strong they are because they haven't been put up against the wall.
But it's that same fast. Because it's like when I said I can't squat a certain amount, and you two said, yeah, you could. The thing as well is, if your life depended on it, could you do something? That's the way I would.
And that's the thing, and it's difficult because sometimes it's difficult to create those situations, but the people who, again, when we've talked about the rise of the underdog, they look at the hardships as the time that made them, not a bad thing. So like when you talk about squats, I do squats, I don't have a spot on squats. I don't have a spot on squat, don't get me wrong, if I went super, super high, sometimes every so often I think about asking for a spot, but the bottom line is, if I need to, I can drop the weight on the bar behind me, right? I don't have a squat because the point, don't get me wrong, I'm not lifting 400 kilos like these mad weightlifters are, right? I'm lifting 160 kilos, about double my body weight, right? But it's still strenuous. I don't have a spot because I'm not setting myself up to give up. When I get down, there's nobody around me to help me. All I can do is get back up. But you need to create those certain senses of where the world will close in on you.
No joke thing, no joke thing. When I first started working out, that's what I used to think about. Like, if I was like Indiana Jones and the walls like closing in on me, I have the strength to push the walls back. I used to do that all the time. I used to do work. I was like, if the bench was like a wall, it's falling down, and you can't push it back up with all my strength. Man, another thing about weightlifting, is a lot of it was fair. A lot of the weights that I used to do, on the bench press, I knew that if I dropped the weight, it would kill me. So it made me respect the weight, the bar. So I just did it. I just went, if I don't do this, it will kill me. So I lifted it off the rack. I respected the weight, and I took it down. Same thing with squats. If I don't lift up, it's gonna come down on me. So I'm gonna give it the respect it is, and I'll push and do it because I respect the challenge. I think a lot of people, I think with weights, that's how I got to where I am because I respected the weights. I didn't let the weights sway me. That's one thing a lot of people do. They let the weights sway them.
And I've heard him say that to people in the gym. He goes, don't let the weight buoy you. Don't let the weight buoy you. Don't let the weight buoy you.
Because that's what I learned that. I learned that.
What do you mean when you say don't let the weight buoy you? For some people that
I don't get it.
So some people that don't understand.
Don't let the weight buoy you means that don't let the weight
defeat you.
Don't let it defeat you.
It's a weird way to go about it.
Yeah, don't let the weight defeat you. You're bigger than the weight. If the weight was there, would you let the weight beat you up? No. So why are you letting the weight buoy you? Why are you going to let the weight? So I said don't let the weight buoy you. Don't let if I pick up 50 kg, I know that I'm going to beat the 50 kg. I'm the one. I'm not like CT Fletcher when I'm saying I'm the Lord Master of the gym, but that's my mentality. I'm not letting this weight buoy me. I know I can beat the weight.
One thing though, I would say with all of that is that there is a limit because I can't pick up the 50 kg.
No. There is a limit.
But I do agree that a lot of it is mental because I've been in a situation where I know I've done a weight before, but I've had a bad experience with, and it's less, and then I'm thinking about things so much, and your form just goes all out.
I think it's a competitive mindset. And when you say that to somebody, they're like, "You're so competitive." I'm like, "Yeah, but my underlying reason for being competitive against you is I'm not really competing against you. I'm competing against me. I'm competing to be the best me, and by default, that means I'm going to beat you. Like that's just what it is."
It's the thing is when I pick up the weight, I'm not thinking right. I just get the weights, and I'm going. I'm one of the best. When I go to the pure gym, any gym I've gone into, I always think I want to be best. It's always been that way. Any gym I've gone into, from 17 years old, when I first started training, I always said I want to be the best. I want to be better than everyone in this gym. I want to push more than anyone in this gym. If you've got a better six pack than me, I want to have a better six pack than you. If you've got bigger arms than me, I have bigger arms than you. It's always been, and I'll pick someone in the gym to compete against. They don't know I'm competing against them. I don't go to them. I'm going to beat you. I just go. I'm going to beat him. I want to have bigger arms than him. He's got bigger triceps than me right now. I want to have bigger arms than him. Any time I see someone new come in the gym, I size them up. I go, okay, I see you. Okay, cool. Someone new. I struggle when I'm the biggest guy in the gym because of or I'm pushing the most in the gym because that means that I'm going to hit a plateau. But if I see someone else that's bigger than me, I always aim to be as big as them or as ripped as them. It's because it's me, like what you said. I'm competing against myself. And if competing with myself...
Well, you're not competing against
yourself.
But
you're competing with somebody else. Because I don't care about anybody else in the gym.
Because I'm competing. Because if I want someone to drive me, so I can be better than myself. If I'm not, then I'm really.
No, because it's an interesting one as well. Because for some people, it's good for you to get somebody to be. I don't need to have somebody to beat. I'm not. So when I'm in the gym, I don't care about being bigger than anybody else because I know what I'm doing. I have confidence in where I'm going. Yeah. But so some people can naturally create a competitive state to always be better than themselves. Some people, it's better to be able to find somebody who you're competing against to help drive you forwards. I think, again, it's not a one size fits all. It's whatever works for you. And all of the stuff that we go through, it's taking it and tailor making it for yourself, right? And understanding what exactly will work for you. If it works for you to say, I can compete against myself every single day. When I'm trying to lose weight, I can go on what I weighed yesterday and what I weigh today and how big my muscles are. If that works for you, then do it. If you need to have a picture up of somebody else and say, I'm going to be the best me because I'm going to be better than them, then that's fine. It's cool, because the ultimate end goal is achieve the goal that you're aiming for. How you go about breaking that down and getting there is again, there are best practices, right? There are best practices that we put on the article, that we talk about on here, that other people talk about everywhere else. But then there are outliers and there are anomalies that exist in there who do it in a completely different fashion. And what that tells you is, not that you need to follow them, that there's not a one-size-fits-all. And because there's not a one-size-fits-all, if you've read all the books, but that doesn't seem like it's working for you, so if you've read all the books about how to have a creative mindset, but that hasn't worked for you, it doesn't mean you can't have a creative mindset. It just means that, okay, that doesn't work for you. I tell you what you should go and do. Read like a Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, right? It doesn't go into that, but it just overlooks the fact that there's always anomalies in the system. So whenever you feel like I've read all the best practices, but it's not working, I must be a failure. No, it just means, okay, you can still push for it. And again, that comes into that era of optimism, that keep a solid outlook on it. Don't be defeated at the first hurdle. You look at it and say, best practice, this works for everybody else. Well, it didn't work for me. Therefore, by definition, I must be a failure and can't do it. Hell no. Just, I can't win in the same way that they won. How is it going to work for me? Everybody went on that path down there. I'm going to go on this path down there. And again, that is that optimism. That is straight there, that optimism, where you look at it and say, am I beaten? You say, no, I'm not. I can't win the way they did, but I can win.
I also think that it's about the people that you're around. I know we've spoken about mastermind groups before and everything, but if you're around everyone who's being positive, has a positive out, trying to do this, trying to do that, that's going to grow on you, that's going to be infectious. Likewise, if you're the other side and you're around negative people, that's going to bring you down. And I think those people surround themselves, the ones who get there, they surround themselves with the best type of people to be around in order to help them get to where they want to get to.
But I think even that, you get ones who do it by themselves. They're not even surrounded by people. So again, the only reason I say that is it goes in line with what I was saying before is, again, best practice at work. Yeah, completely use mastermind groups. Talk about it all the time. Have your support network. Definitely, if you're going to surround yourself with people, then make sure they're ones that are going to help you grow. However, at the same time, sometimes you don't even need to be surrounded by people. You might be one of those people who's just like, I don't need new people around. And then there's going to be some counterintuitive people who are going to be a small subset. They're like, I want these negative mindsets around me because I want to look at these people as enemies that I'm going to beat. There will be people out there who are vindictive and they just want to win to beat everybody else. It's unfortunate, but it works for some people. Like, you look in the banking sector, there are some people who are successful not because they were trying to be the best them, because they wanted to beat down everybody else. They are successful. They could have probably had more potential that they could have achieved, but they wanted to be the smartest person in the room. So again, I don't get me wrong, I don't agree with that mindset. I think it can be addictive. It doesn't make you a very nice person.
I ain't going down that
but again, everybody's a bit different.
I'm not about to go down that route.
I think you have to be ethical. It's important to be ethical.
I don't. Ethical doesn't come into. That's not about you being. Ethical is if you do something there, you need to do it with a sense of morality about it. I would say, not ethical.
Morality, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But when you're talking on that as well, so it's another thing that we said we're going to talk about, because I heard it on a podcast as well, is people talk about being happy. Like, yeah, I'm happy. And when you talked about it before and covering over the front, sometimes I wonder how happy people really are though. What I mean is, I wonder how many people are actually striving for true happiness. And how many people just settle on,
I'll be honest,
I'm kind of satisfied.
I might be saying something quite controversial here, but I don't think a lot of people are happy.
No, I don't think they are. And the thing is, the crazy thing about it is I feel like it gets lost. When we spoke about pursuing your passion, and people put that as if it had to translate into you being a millionaire, and I feel like some people put it out there like, to be happy, I need to be a millionaire. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, do you know what? If you have, and as we spoke before, like, say we were talking about and now it's about 80k you need to live in a life where you've got enough money to be sufficient. So say you have a household, you've got 2 people working, let's say they make 70k each, 140k coming into the household, nice house, you have kids, you do your 9 to 5, yet you don't love your 9 to 5, but you don't hate your 9 to 5, but you know that it's a means to an end, right? So you can enjoy your life. You have more time with your family. You're not working ridiculous hours, and you get to the end of it, and you can say you are truly happy because you have the love of your life and your wife, your husband, if you're a woman, however people want to go about their lives, whatever. Or if you've got your kids and you've got time to spend with you watch them grow. You can get the gift. You can watch that gift of having a child grow up, go to school, have all of their achievements, go to university. You can't tell me that that is not happiness for people in life, right? But they don't have to be super rich. They never have to have $1 million in the bank.
I've got a friend, and we call him Daddy Dev, He's got a son and twins, 1 boy, 1 girl, and that's him and his family. It was his 40th birthday last week. We was all trying to organise something, like a big bash, He's gone away with his family. That's what he did for his 40th, and that's what makes him happy. He's not super rich. He's got a nice house and he's got a family around him, and that's what makes him happy. So that's what he's saying. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have. It's whatever floats your boat. You know what I mean?
I think saying ignorance is bliss comes into it here, because I think the reason why a lot of people aren't happy is because there's so much information out there of what happiness is supposed to be. So it's the expectation and then the expectation gap which causes people not to be happy, because people think the expectation to be happy is to be rich or to be married or to have this and to have that. So then when people have those expectations, when they fall short of those expectations, then they have this sense of not depression, just feeling down about it. So that instead of being happy, like Alan Watts said, a lot of people go to the mountain for Zen, and when they get to the mountain, they found Zen, but they had the same Zen they found in the mountain, they had it at the bottom of the mountain. It's the same thing with happiness. A lot of people go out of their way to look for happiness, but the same happiness that they have started, the same happiness they find at the end of the journey, they had at the beginning of the journey. It's just that it's easier when at the end of the journey to say, I found happiness. Happiness happens from within. So
I would argue actually people chase a vision. I do agree that people have a different view of what happiness is to what it actually is. I think people chase a vision of happiness for their outward view of themselves. So secretly they go home and they're really unhappy, but they need to project a vision of being happy. And they feel like you need to be successful to be happy. So they put on this front, and in the worlds of Snapchats and Instagrams and the rest of them, they create a life that makes it look like they're happy, but they're anything but happy, right? And I've fallen into that trap before, where I used to do things which outwardly expressed that I was super happy, but secretly I was unfulfilled at home, right? Whereas now, I don't actually care what anybody else thinks of me, personally. And that's not mean that I don't care for other people. I have empathy for other people, right? And I like to think I'm a thoughtful guy. But what I mean is, I'm not living my life to be what they want and envision as being a good, successful life or a happy life. I know what makes me, because I've taken the time to have that reflection and that self-awareness and go deep into that sense, right? I don't need to worry about what anybody else thinks anymore. If you think that when I was, let's be honest, there were times where I was going out every weekend, waking up in the morning, having all of these mad nights out, and that looked like happiness. So the bottom line is, if I drilled into it, I was unfulfilled. Whereas now I ain't doing any of that, but I'm pushing in the direction I want to push in. Do I still face challenges? I face challenges because I put myself in the position of that. I'm ready to take a risk, and sometimes it's bloody difficult to get through that, right? It is what it is. But I have an inner sense of happiness in myself, because as I start to go towards that end goal, I'm thinking I'm slowly becoming that man. The man that I'm becoming is the man that I am happy with becoming. And I think it's a sense of self-confidence as well. Like, are you confident enough to be your own person, or is your confidence based on the watch that you have on your wrist, or the designer jeans that you have on, or the trainers that you have on, and how people perceive that of you? And I think a lot of times people are, again, we refer to it as kind of substance over style over substance, but I think it goes beyond that. I'm like, some people base everything about themselves on what everybody else thinks about them, and that's because they don't have the self-confidence in themselves. Like, when I go out, I will go out wearing plain clothes with no designer stuff on it. I might wear the same hoodie to the shop 5 days in a row. Like, I don't just sleep in it and wear it. I'm talking about, I wear the same thing out, because I don't care if somebody sees me and then goes, oh, he wears that same hoodie every day. I'm going to the shop, I don't care. Like, but for some people, it's got to be fresh to death every time they walk out. And for some people, they probably do it for themselves, but for 95% of people, they don't do it for themselves. They want everybody else to have that view of them.
Don't you think that social media has created that a lot more, in the sense that now we have a platform via Snapchat, Facebook, to be our own sort of superstars? And when you grow up, you watch everybody on the TV and you're like, oh, that looks cool, and then now you can actually be that person. So then you start putting out, you know, a perception of yourself that's not even, you know. It's,
every technology compounds anything that can exist in society. So any cultural way of working, any societal behaviours that we have will be compounded as we push the barriers from a technology perspective, right? So in that sense, social media, it has compounded the effect of it, but ultimately it still comes down to somebody's own self-awareness and reflection. That's the problem. But when you move out of that, when we move to a next step, when the internet came along, even just the internet in itself, forget that, it gave you more visibility to the outside world. When you went from having towns which were disconnected, like back in the day, to towns which connected, you had access to more people who could see you. So it always comes out, and as we move into technology, they'll always compound them. Social media does do that because people have a sense that they need to live up to an expectation. But again, nobody forces them to do that. They see people on Snapchat and they'll see they'll see a celebrity who's got a massive following on Snapchat and they're like, I want to have that. Why do you want to have it for? Because celebrities are doing it because they need to build their own brand for sales, right? You can use your own Snapchat for your brand and not worry about how many people are watching you. Just worry about you are consistent with yourself. Don't worry about how many people see you, because if they see you on Snapchat and they see you on Instagram and they see you on Facebook and then they see you in person, you are consistent and the same. And what I frequently find is what people display themselves to the world where the masses can see them is completely different to the way that people will see them when you are talking to them one-to-one. Like, we've spoken about it before. You're like, I like to think that I'm the same across all the platforms, and I think that you are. You get a bit crazy on yours, but then you get a bit crazy when we're here. I get a bit excitable when we're on this, right? And I do it on my Snapchat as well. But you walk me into an office, and I do the same thing. I was talking to a supplier the other day, where they're like, it's just Ben being Ben. Like, I'm like, you've got a phrase about me because at least I'm consistent. So everything I deliver, when I talk with energy, that's because I have energy. This is how I talk when I'm in the office. I said to a guy before, he was like, I'd like to talk to you about how to do speaking and influencing people. I was like, yeah, I can take you through that because I've been on a big curve. Because believe it or not, I used to be shy and reserved. He's like, I don't believe it. But that's because, and I am consistent across the board now. Before, taking back 5 or 6 years, I was probably just making it all, I'm not making it all up, but I was living a certain life that wasn't congruent with everything that I was doing, I would say. I'll probably actually go back and say probably, well, coming up to 31, about 7 years or so. Whereas now, everything that I say is congruent with my actions. There, I was probably 85%. Now I can feel confident and I'm 100% in doing that. And I feel
still a lot though.
Yeah, but I was still, but even back then, I used to talk work and talk energy and I was doing that. On the weekends though, I would be a different guy and I would display a different view of myself on the weekends. But the way I act would still be the same.
But you know what, I was thinking about like you two and now, you're still the same. Still the same people. So I don't think
and that's what I mean, because I'm going back that far that I think I made my change probably before I got to know you properly. Because before that I was acting in a certain manner which wasn't congruent with the way that I speak now.
I think it's growth and maturity. Because I see myself becoming more mature when I debate with people or argue with people. I see myself become more mature than I was a couple of years ago. I take things more personally, and now I can go back and I can apologise. So like if I get emotional in the debate, I go back and say I'm sorry. It wasn't you that I was getting annoyed at. It was just the point. So it's just that I think it's where you grow as you grow as a person. I think we have changed. But we've all grown together. So as we're developing our core, who we are, our core stays the same. But I think our personality traits have grown, and you've seen it all together. We've all grown together. Is when people don't change. As when you know when you're growing and people are not growing. Is when you notice that they're not growing. When everyone's growing together and you're seeing their growth, you kind of think like, well, they're still the same core people because their core principles are still the same. But the little things, the little tweaks they've done, you've seen them tweak it, and you see the growth.
I would say, to be fair though, I think I'm mature. I make a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes in life, but I learned from my mistakes. But you've got to make risks. You've got to take risks to make mistakes. But I made a lot of them early. So for me, nowadays when I look at it, and they were looking at it I thought it was a stupid article, but they were talking about why at 30 years old now, you're not considered like the same adult you were. And they were like things that define like the adult milestones that 30-year-olds haven't been through. And they were like, been in a marriage, had a kid. I'm like, that's bollocks, because that doesn't. Some of the stuff was ridiculous. Some of them were like owning a house, and I was like, I understand things like that, but things like a relationship, I didn't agree with. But that said, I do agree with the fact, and we've spoken about it before, that when you go back 25, 30, 40 years ago, to be 21 was to be a grown adult. To be 21 now is to be 18. To be 25 is to be 21. To be 30 is to be 25. In some instances, to still be 21, right? Whereas I feel like I fast-tracked that. Like, so when I'm acting, when somebody says to me, like, before, I still think I take it as a slant in a way. I must look old, like I've had a hard life or something, but people were like, I think you're about 37, 38, and they were like, no, it's not the way you look, it's the way you carry yourself. I'm like, don't dig yourself out of a hole now. But I think there's some components of it which makes me come across as more mature than I am, and I'm like, I'm not acting any more mature than I am. I have lived my 30 years on this planet the same way the next 30-year-old has lived their 30 years on this planet. I act like a 30-year-old because I am a 30-year-old. But the bottom line is, perception now of 30-year-olds is that you should still be acting immature. Unfortunately, that's because that's the way we kind of create about ourselves. But again, I think that's the kind of life you go through. You can live your whole... And I'm not against it, because there are people who I look at and they're going on holidays all the time in their 20s, and I'm like, right, that's a life, man. Like, that's it. But they might be still living at home. They're not really building for how they're going to make in the future. And you have to accept that you're going to have to make sacrifices to where you want to get to. Or you're going to do all the stuff that you love and go on the holidays, but you might not achieve all of the wealth that, or goals or accolades that you want out of your life, or that you thought you wanted out of your life. Again, it's going back to that self-awareness and reflection on what is it that you really want. Because if you don't need the accolades are specific to you, not defined by society and everybody around you. And again, this goes back to everybody has that sense of, well, if I'm going to be happy, then surely I need to have owned my own company. Hell no. Do whatever the hell makes you happy with life. Work in McDonald's and go travelling, work in McDonald's because you can just work your ass off all your overtime, put money in the bank, and then you go travelling, backpacking on a bottom budget for 4 months every year. And then you come back and you work at McDonald's because I don't care how long you're going to be around for, they'll take you seasonal, right? Yeah. If that lives a happy life because you turn around and say, I travelled the world and you know what, I was happy. And it hasn't, nobody got the right to say to you, how can you be happy you worked in McDonald's? Because I travelled the world, what did you do? Well, I made £500,000. And what did that take? Well, I had to work my arse off every day of the week. There's no medal for hard work, and this hard work pays off for what your goal is at the end of it. And that's why people who make masses of millions really enjoy what they're doing. That's what drives them. So when they get to the end.
Some people, though, that make masses of millions, they die lonely and upset. So there is a balance.
No, but that defined. Yeah, but that goes back to the first person that I'm talking about. I get that. But what I'm saying is, the people who are super successful, they tend to have done it. They make their money because they chased what made them happy, and then it made them money, and that's what's allowed them to keep putting the hard work in.
You've got to be careful though, because you see, you always, and I don't know, I've met people like this. You know, you've got career men and career women, and then they'll get to a certain point, and then they will wish, and they'll wish that they didn't put their career first because they had a chance to settle down and then they get to there and they put their career first, and then they feel unfulfilled.
No, I don't think it's the balance. I think it's no one makes you happy. I think that they brought into success had to make them happy.
Understanding what intrinsically makes you happy.
Yeah.
Other people don't do that. They go with what they think will make them happy. They go with what actually their gut feeling of what makes them happy.
You know, do you think power plays a part as well? You know, like your career, like power driven, and that career and that job gives them a lot of power, so they strive for that.
Yeah, but if that makes them happy, that's fine. I think a lot of people at the start don't think about it. They buy into you have to have a successful career, so they follow that. And then they miss out on the family. But the question they should have asked themselves at the very start is, do I want to have loads of zeros in the bank, or do I want to have a family? And if they wanted to have a family, because I would always argue at a point in time that the right relationship comes along, you should put that front and centre, because it may change all of your focus. It gives you a completely different why to what you've ever had. It's more valuable than any money will ever motivate you. Now, for me, I'll be honest, would I like to be, I look at, like, you settle down, wife, kids, like, beautiful wedding that you had last year, I see you with a girlfriend, right, and then you've got me, I'm just here alone. Now, that's not because I wouldn't have stopped at a point in time to have a relationship.
The right one hasn't come along.
Exactly, and I'm not going to force it for the sake of forcing it, but if the right one comes along, then I will be like, because when you said to me before, you're like, how are you going to make time for a girlfriend when you're spending all your time working? I'm like, Leon, you're missing the point. If I met the right one, I will make time for them. But the difference is, if I met the right one, and then when I know she's the right one, but I'm just going to work through it, then down the line, I'll look back and regret. I'll see her, she might be married to somebody else. I'll be like, I missed that one true chance of happiness for some extra zeros in the bank.
I hear that, man.
You had a smirk on your face like you were gonna go
He's
out.
happy now, isn't it?
No, I was like, don't act like you ain't dating.
I knew that. I don't know why you don't get out of
He's
this.
like, I'm on this here.
Well, I've not got a girlfriend, right? Like,
he got more than one.
no,
He's good. He's good, people. He's good. You just
did a wax on me there. I'll be like a la amazing grace.
If you want to hit him in the DMs and the comments,
Nah, you can't do it.
comment
This
on
is not.
YouTube.
This is not Blind Date Ben show.
Go on SoundCloud if you like his voice. Just comment on there. DM. I see the messages. Yeah, going.
Are you done?
That's helping you out, bro.
This is helping me out. Did you hear me say I'm just to be clear, I'm quite comfortable.
You were just playing the violins. I was just like.
I wasn't playing no violins. I was just trying to lay out where we're at. When I said it, I was almost worried to say it because I knew one of you might have done it on me. Like, I'm trying to make a valid point to these people here about happiness, and you're trying to set me up on first dates.
Mate, that'd be funny.
It's a good
I'll go on one of them though, because they get free holiday.
Yeah,
the first date's holidays, I'll go on that. Because one of them, they went away on a date and they're like, you don't stay here for more than one day if you don't like the first date. And then he's on a date the next day. I'm thinking, I'll take a free holiday in France for the weekend.
Totally off. But I want to ask you, would you go and take me out?
Now, I wouldn't know what to do on take me out because you've got to have a skill. I have a skill to do.
Skill?
So you have to do something. You have to have a skill. Otherwise, they give you one.
No, you can have
and
a
that
skill
is embarrassing.
Or someone will talk for you, like your mum could talk for you, or your friends could talk for you.
Yeah.
Richard said he would. We spoke about this before years ago, right?
Yeah.
Richard was like, if they interview me, I will kill you off. That's why I wouldn't go on there because they would interview one of you lot, and you would absolutely kill me.
One guy, his mum killed him off. She just literally just killed him off.
Yeah.
Like, get little light.
I don't think I've got any value for me apart from, but I wouldn't trust any of you lot to bring out. Put out something that I did on a road trip or a night out in my younger years when I'm a completely different guy.
Something that could pull out. That would kill it.
So would I go and take me out? No.
No.
And if I did, I'd do it in secret and not let the camera guys anywhere near you lot.
Sorry, that question is nothing to do with life advice. I just wanted to ask you. Apologies.
My love life is becoming a running joke for you. I don't like it.
No.
Once I'm settled down, I'm going to sit here so smug.
I was like, okay, cool. No more. I'm alone. Man's dating.
I'm a human being, like, jeez.
Well, look at this one. He can talk.
You are worse.
He was worse.
And do you know what? Like before, and I'm going to take this back for an example because this is a good case of self-awareness. You went from, I'm settled, I'm going to be settled down with family. Next week, you're like, no, I'm going to grow up single forever. Like, at least me, I'm consistent, right? But this is good. This is a good topic of self-awareness because I'm like, for some people, they need to know what it is that they want. Because for some people, they might want to be alone for the rest of their lives. It works for some people.
That's true.
I didn't know until I met the right person.
Yeah, that's fine, but you were so vocal.
I know I was vocal. I remember sitting down with you in Starbucks saying I don't want to. No, not Starbucks. Where was that breakfast place? Is it in Crackdown?
Oh yeah, I forgot my school.
And saying I don't want a relationship. And next week I had a girlfriend.
Yeah, I know.
It's what I deal with these guys. What's going on? So what's to do with this?
I'm always consistent.
I'm consistent. I'm fine. I don't play the violin. Come me play the violin of all people.
No.
I never play the violin.
He's messing with you, man. He's messing with you. Alright, so what are we saying? We're going to wrap it up?
Yeah.
I'll even take away because now you're going on a tangent. I'm better worried about something might come out that I don't want to get to come out. Like, he edits the video, so I don't know where this stuff's going to end up. So guys, I think it's been a good show. I told you at the start, man. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I was filming on Friday.
We might need to do it on Friday.
I got a bit too much bubble nature to me. So I think it's been a good show.
Yeah.
You know how it goes, guys. As we've said in this, like when we say about it's all about your mindset. We're not saying that you're just gonna implement that straight away every time that we say something. Like you're just gonna be able to wake up tomorrow and be super positive or super grateful. Or mortality comes into your mind like, yeah, I need to be realistic about my life isn't going to go on forever. We're not saying that it just flip changes like that. What we're saying is work to implement these, change the way that you act at the moment bit by bit until it becomes habitual. So that being said, as ever, we sign out with life is only as good as your mindset and you have to work at that because your results are only as good as your hustle. So you have a good week and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.